The Asian Avengers, so weak.
Asian Avengers, so weak, so fuckable, bro. You know? Whoa. There's 5 Asian guys together. Wow.
Together. Did you ever go through a stealing phase?
Do I think everyone should have a gun? Maybe.
Or you can look me up. I don't care. I'll fight you. I don't care.
You want to get high as fuck? You like opium?
And welcome back to another episode of Asian Not Asian Podcast, the podcast where 2 Asian guys not from Asia talk about American issues no Americans care about. I am your host, Fumi Abe.
And I'm Mike Nguyen.
Today is 9/12, day after September 11. Nice.
A day,
okay.
Totally normal day. No big deal. Yes, let's...
Totally normal day. Nothing happened there.
Totally
By the way,
normal
we got
day.
some...
no horrible days. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we got an email that was like from some, I don't know, PR person who's like, "Hi guys, you know, as your podcast is getting ready for 9/11, we thought we'd recommend these guests." And I felt bad.
Right, I saw that.
I was like, "Fuck, should we do like a special 9/11 episode?" I felt bad about that.
I thought about that. The only thing I can think of was we could talk about, like, everybody always has like their 9/11 story, like what they were doing, because everybody remembers what they were doing. But and if anything, it'll just be again hilarious. I mean, sorry that it's funny, but it's that because like I was in college and I think you were like a sperm or something like that. So
yeah, I was in
like,
the 6th grade. Yeah, I was 12.
So it would be interesting. But anyways, good times.
Good times. Oh, wait a second. Let me plug some stuff up top because we got some exciting things happening. We have merch out. You can get Asian Not Asian merch. A lot of you guys have been buying it. Thank you so much. Just go to AsianNotAsianPod.com/merch. It's great. It's cool stuff. Please wear it and then take a picture. Get your dick sucked and then post it on Instagram. not the fellatio part, but the fashion part. Post it. And then if you're listening to this on your phones, as always, please take a screenshot, post it on Instagram stories, tag us at AsianNotAsianPod. I want to start today's episode with a little story of the week. I haven't done this in a minute, man, because I just got back. The reason why I'm in my pajamas right now is because I just got back late last night from a real life in-person college show. I haven't done a college show since like January. I think was the last time I did it. And it was the colleges. I don't know why I always get booked for these small ass schools. This is Lebanon Valley College in Annville, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of this place?
Yo, you know it's a small place in America when it's named after the Middle East. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
like
apparently,
if you go to like Jerusalem, Nevada, it's like 100 people there.
Yeah, apparently there's like 60 cities named after Lebanon in America, which is like a whole thing. Yeah. Because in the Bible it says there's like a nice river by it or something like that. But this place was landlocked. This place was landlocked as fuck. They had no river, so
no river.
Anyways, yeah, I went. You know, it was 9/11. You know, it was pretty chill. It was interesting because like I realized that, you know, it was like the kids I was playing to, they weren't even alive during 9/11, you know? It was like the first time I was like, oh, you guys don't even really fucking know. You know what I mean? This is like, you know what I mean? You don't even fucking, I was 12, but I was like,
like, you don't even know, okay? I was in 6th grade. I was with Bobby Johnson, and me and him were watching on TV. Okay, yeah.
So,
real shit.
It was cool. It was outside. They had like a really nice setup for us. There was about like 60 kids. They were all sitting in the lawn, and like the social distance was, you know, at play here, but they like left so much distance between me and the kids. It was like, because 6 feet I get, it was like 50 feet. I'm like, this feels racist. Like, I don't like this feels like you think I have Corona, AIDS, and like Ching Chong. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, well, I can't do comedy like this. So I just took the mic and I started like moving forward, and then like that was fun. But
that's funny.
What's crazy is like, so they, I guess like, only freshmen and seniors can come in right now, and then sophomores and juniors are on Zoom. So it was like the campus was like empty as fuck. And it was actually, when we got there, it was kind of scary because every time I get to a college campus, you know, you see the campus thriving. There are like people out tanning, reading books on the lawn, like running around playing frisbee. Like you get there, it's like a fucking ghost town. And then it's just like me doing comedy. So that was like really, really weird. But yeah, I thought it was just weird because all the freshmen there, this is all they know. Like, I was talking to them, and they're like, yeah, technically I graduated, but we didn't have a graduation. We didn't have a prom. So basically, I stopped school in March, and now I'm here at Lebanon Valley College. And they're wearing masks, and, like, they can't really party. Although that's not really because they're not allowed to. There's just nothing there. Like, a lot of them are just like, I was like, what do you guys do on the weekends? They're like, we go to Walmart. And they were dead serious.
Damn.
They hang out. Yeah, and I was like, what do you do then? They're like, just everything that the store has to offer. I was like, all right. That's
Yo, we're going to hit up plumbing, okay? We're going to hit up home decor, all right?
Yeah. That was fun, and I did 40 minutes, and that was hell, but it was good. It was fun. I feel that, oftentimes we talk about Zoom shows as like doing doing the treadmill in space just to make sure that your muscle doesn't atrophy.
Kind of get going.
Outdoor shows to me felt like running with ankle weights, because the laughs, like sometimes I'll do a joke and I'm like, where did that go? Like, did that, it just kind of
disappears.
It
just disappears.
Also, it's at night, so when I bombed, you could actually hear crickets, and I'm like, this is disrespectful. I actually asked the teacher, I was like, can you just go around and exterminate all the crickets, please? Because that's really rude for me as a performer.
Yeah. There's nothing as bad as bombing, and then you hear the sound of cicadas,
Yeah.
Like, huh? Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't want to like bomb and then feel like writing a haiku about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, summer is ending.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect time for suicide. Fantastic.
Yeah, I just take the mic cord and I kill myself. That's fine. Anyways, so shout outs to Lebanon Valley College. Thanks for having me out there, and hopefully
LVC.
I hope you didn't get too drunk last night at the Walmart.
Hey, blue light special, Wait, that's
special,
Kmart.
Man.
Go ahead.
That's Kmart. Anyways, let's get into it with our guest, man. Who's our guest today, Mike?
Our guest today is, I'm pretty stoked. We've known this dude. We've actually known this dude. I was thinking about it. We've known this dude for a minute now.
Well, you and I have been like kind of creeping on him for a minute, and then
we've been creeping on him for a minute because whenever, again, all Asian comedians know each other. We're all like one step away from each other.
Yes.
We're all like, I'm like one step away from. I'm pretty sure I'm
Ali
one step
Wong.
away. I know Ali Wong. I don't think she knows me, but I know her.
Yeah.
But we're all like one step away from each other, and we can tell anywhere in the world when another one rises up. We're like, we get the sense. Like Fumi and I, we were like working, and we stopped, and I was like, "Do you feel that?" And you're like, "Yes."
Is this like the
another comedian?
Is this the Stampede scene from Lion King?
Yeah,
like the things on my desk are shaking. It's like, oh my god,
everything's shaking. I was like, what is that?
Who is that?
Yeah.
It's Uncle Roger.
It's another comedian. So we've seen this. We've been watching this dude for a minute, and and this dude is a stand-up comic like us. Host of the Rice to Meet You podcast, which may be going through a change, but podcast host, YouTube, TikTok star. Okay, star. This is the first. We know a lot of people on TikTok and on YouTube who are like, hey, they're getting there. They're getting somewhere. But this dude's got awards for it. Okay? Awards.
Yes, YouTube awards.
Awards. Okay? All right? And of course, this is Uncle Roger's secret identity. I'm so excited to have him. Give it up right now for Nigel Ng. Woo!
Hey! Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the pod. I'm a patron also.
Oh, shit.
Which is so weird.
I am.
Which is so weird that there's no reason to do that. Now we got to do it back to you. But I feel like this is like
you don't have to. No.
I feel this is the equivalent of the Asian paying the check thing now with Patreon, right? It's like
I got your Patreon.
I will Patreon you.
I'll Patreon you.
And we're like eventually Patreoning each other like $2,000 at a time. Yeah. We're just like, fuck, man, this is bullshit. No, this is awesome that you're here. You're all the way. You're in London, right? Are you in London?
Yes.
Or like in the area?
London.
Thanks for doing this. It's early. It's early for us, but not early for you. Yeah. So it's cool for you to come here. I don't know. There's so much to like get into. I mean, first of all, do you have let's just start just easy. We've been doing some live shows here in New York City, like on rooftops, and everyone agrees. I feel they suck. I don't think I've seen anyone do really good on one. Like the best you can do is sort of like, oh, that was like pretty okay, and it's just like the energy just disappears. Fumi goes out there, he literally hears insects clapping back at him. Yeah. Have you been doing any live shows? Because you've been doing stand up for a minute.
Yes, I haven't done like outdoor shows yet. I've got a few booked, but since YouTube kind of blew up recently, I got too busy, so I dropped out of them.
Oh shit!
But
Oh shit! Yo, fuck stand up. Yeah, damn, that's a flex.
No. I miss stand up a lot, but like you said, it sounds like a terrible proposition. I've done stand up at music festivals before. Those are outdoor gigs.
Oh god!
I know how terrible they are.
Oh my god, what's that like?
Imagine at Lollapalooza and then there's a stand-up comedian before the National. That kind of thing.
Which fest? Did you do like Glastonbury or something?
No, I wasn't big enough to do Glastonbury yet, but smaller festivals around London. But I mean, the concept's the same, right? It's terrible. Either you're on the main stage, which is, okay, comedians don't get to play the main stage. You get to play like a little tent next to the main stage.
Yep.
So I remember I was up on stage and then I could hear Sigur Rós playing in the background.
Oh my god. The Icelandic chanting.
Hey guys.
That's amazing.
Food here sucks. Why is it so bad?
Damn. Yeah, outdoor comedies, it's no good, man. I mean, I think the difference between, I think it's actually better now because back then when you're doing the live show, it's like you're at this tent, right? You're trying your best. You're excited. You practiced, you bombed so many times to get here. You're trying your best, but the audience are like, oh, is that Sigur Rós? Like, too bad we couldn't get tickets for that. Who's this fucking Asian guy, right? But now the scenario is different because these kids and other outdoor shows, they have nothing going on, and they actually feel like they're in on something. They feel like they're in on some like Vice article. They're like, ooh, like I'm in on this secret show. So even they're a lot more forgiving. Like even if it doesn't go well, because a lot of people are writing new quarantine jokes. If it doesn't go well, they're like, no, keep going. So yes, I did hear crickets, but there was hope. But for you, it was just like Icelandic Gregorian chants in the background. And that's
you see that? Stand-up comedy is great when you have no other options. There you go. Okay, then. Yeah. So, Nigel, when did you start comedy? Because you've been doing. Did you start with stand-up or did you start with something else? Or like,
were you a concept guy?
Stand-up, man. 2011. That's when I started.
Woo! Dang.
I went to university. I went to Northwestern University.
In America?
In the U.S. Yeah. In
America,
you did?
Yeah,
Evanston, Illinois.
I didn't know that.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, you should have Wikipedia'd me before you interviewed me,
Well, you know what? I saw we had our producer Wikipedia you, and I saw that you went to Northwestern, and I assumed this was like Lebanon Valley College. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Like
it's not actually in Lebanon.
In London?
Like, no way he went to There's no way this dumbass went to Northwestern. I assume this is outside of Bristol. Whatever. Okay, so you started in Illinois. That's cool.
Yeah, so I would take the train down to Chicago to do open mics there.
Wow.
Ooh, do you remember?
It's a long ass train, man. In the cold.
Did you come up with anybody who's famous now? Because from 2011, I feel like there's a
bunch of people.
Maybe like Beth Stelling.
I didn't come up with her when I started open micing in Chicago. I only did it around the college circuit in Evanston first, but then when I started going down in Chicago regularly, it was 2013, 2014, and Beth was already quite established. So yeah, I've seen Beth selling before. Cameron Esposito, I've seen her like work out new material at open mics.
Oh my god! Like Jabuki's from out there. He's like a Twitter god now.
No, I don't know Jabuki. I've seen Chris Red do a few sets.
Oh wow!
He was already super funny back then. So I was
he's on SNL, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow! Look at your little cohorts. That's pretty amazing. I wanted to ask you this. So you started doing stand up, and then like, when did you get into the content stuff? Like, because I know that Uncle Roger recently blew up, but when Mike and I were we were creeping on you like in 2017. You were already getting like a decent amount of views on your Instagram videos, and you were doing like sort of comedic
and YouTube
videos. And I was like, I was just wondering like, when did that happen? Did you start that like only a couple years after comedy, or was this like a more strategic thing where you're just like, okay, stand up is fun, but nothing is happening, so let me try YouTube kind of thing?
I think I only started making content in 2019. So last year, January. So
wow,
2017, I wasn't even putting up.
Wow. We got nothing. So this podcast has been around since 2018. We got nothing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So wait, so you started making content, but like in 2019,
like consistently, and like proper content, not just like a picture of my sandwich, that I mean that's content too, but that's content that doesn't serve anyone any value. But I started because out of necessity, really. In the UK, the scene here, to progress in the scene, the traditional route is you get good and then you bring an hour up to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is, I don't know how familiar you are, but they say it's a comedy festival, but it really isn't. It's more like a theatrical, artsy festival, and I absolutely hated it. Everybody's show had every comedy show there, most 90% I would say, they treat like a theater piece.
Right.
It's an hour, it's loose and flabby, and then in the middle there's an emotional part. You know? Like Nanette. Imagine if every comedy show you went to was like Nanette.
Right. Okay.
There's a heart-wrenching, sad part in the middle. And Nanette did it great. Obviously, there are some really, really good ones. But it's just not what the kind of comedy I want to do. I just want to do like, the American style. You just do an hour of funny jokes and people laugh and people go home. You don't want to make them cry or...
I don't want to make you cry.
Yeah. When The Guardian starts reviewing comedy shows, you know you fucked up.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They get theater critics to review your show like it's a piece of theater. It's like, there's no arc. The arc is weak. Oh, this is a comedy show, man.
So the arc. So why did you have to make content in order because of the Fringe? What do those have to do?
Because I know that wasn't the route for me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
I knew I wasn't that kind of like artsy theatrical comedian. I knew I wasn't gonna write Nanette, So I knew that if I just go up there, if you go up there and just be funny for an hour, you'll top out at 3.5 stars. And unfortunately, reviews do play a part to get producers in to come see you, commissioners in to come see you. They go to follow the hype, right? So I realized, okay, this is not the route for me. I did it once. I got a couple 4 stars, which I was quite lucky about, but it's not a good route for me. So I was like, okay, let's re-strategize. How else can I win a fan base? So that's why I started making content. Yeah.
So you started making content then. Okay. And this so just so people know, this is your real accent, the one you're doing right now. This is how you talk normally.
Yeah, we code switch, right? Asian, don't we all code switch? When I go back to Malaysia, it's this with some Malaysian inflection, some Malaysian slang. But yeah, I'll say 90% of the time, if I live in the Western world, then it's this all the time. Unless I'm talking with my Malaysian friends in London, then that's we amped it up the Malaysianness a bit, and we do it just because it's a sort of like you feel closer to the other person,
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yo, I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about that. Like, so you went to school in America, you live in UK now, but you have the Malaysian heritage. Like, can you just kind of quickly walk us through, like, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? And like, how, like, why are you in London?
Whenever I talk to like an Asian person who's from the UK, they got such an interesting backstory, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, we came over here with the Mongols, and then like my dad came
on horses
on a ship, and then like they met at like a fried chicken shop, and like, I also went to boarding school in Australia, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So like, what is like the whole story, man?
It's not that interesting, really. I grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the capital of Malaysia. We call it KL. Locals call it KL. I grew up there for 20 years of my life. And I was lucky enough to get a scholarship from the government to go study in the US. So I did that.
Whoa.
And then US 2010. I was born in 91, went to the US in 2010 to 2015. 2015, I moved to the UK for a lady.
Oh,
we are not together anymore. So
yes, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, so I moved here 2015 for her, and also because she's European, and I realized I want to do stand-up in English, so the UK seems like the next, the best choice in terms of like hassle and just knowing the language. And yeah, that's just my life story. It's not that interesting, really. I just go wherever other people tell me to go.
I mean, I think so. Were you planning to stay? I mean, when you were doing stand up and everything, were you planning to like, okay, first of all, did you know right away, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do stand up. And then second, were you planning to stay? Did you want to stay in the US really? Or were you kind of like, I'll go?
Yeah. I hope to make it back there one day. Yeah. Because I mean, stand-up is ultimately an American art form, right? And you guys don't do as much of the artsy shit, which I hate. So I would love to make it back there one day.
Actually, yes, I did so I went to London in like fucking 2016 or something. I was brand new at comedy. I went there for work, for like a meeting with MasterCard or some shit. And I left all my coworkers were like, let's get a drink after the meeting. And I was like, fuck you guys are boring. And I went to an open mic in the UK. And it's interesting you bring up the artsy thing, because the first thing I noticed is like, in America, like, there's this thing called like the alt scene, which like they do a little bit more like artsy, kind of more interesting, non-traditional comedy. There's a whole scene for that. But if you go to like a regular show or mic, like it's a good mix. But in the UK, like every other person brought like a bag of clementines on stage and like put it on their head or whatever. Like I still remember. I swear to God, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. I still remember one joke. I don't know if you know this guy. This one guy's joke still like is burned on the back of my brain. This guy, he was like a deadpan guy. He brought up a picture of a mantis, a praying mantis, and he was like, did you know that he said it like in his deadpan voice. He was like, did you know that when praying mantises have sex, they die? And then he looks at the picture and he goes, "Ha, virgin!" And like that's the kind of shit. Like it was a bunch of that shit, and I was like, "Oh, this is so interesting." Like it's really, really interesting. So I could totally see how you may have felt like, yeah, you wanted to kind of stay in the U.S. because you're like, I don't feel like putting onions up my butthole or whatever on stage.
Yeah, no, I have. I mean, you know, now I know. I knew that we were like in the same industry, but now I know we're brothers because whenever somebody, just from you saying, I hate that artsy shit, I'm like, yes, thank you. I don't, I hate it when, you know what I'm saying? I hate like all that, you know, let me talk about my childhood and related to clementines and blah, blah, you know, I'm just like, no, tell me a funny joke about, it could be anything, shoes, whatever the fuck it is, you know what I'm saying? Like that's really that's what it's all about, man, you know?
It's not just even I hate that people do that. I also hate that people like that. That's even worse, isn't it? They rave about it, man. Holy shit. Yeah,
yes,
they're like groundbreaking. If you describe a comedy show as groundbreaking, that is not funny, is it?
You know that's funny.
That's
right.
That's an interesting point because I mean I do like a lot of alt comedy for sure, but it has to be funny, right? Like Tom Robinson, he had that sketch show called I Think You Should Leave. That's like alty, but still very, very funny.
Nah.
But sometimes there's a lot of people in New York or like Instagram comedians who like, I swear to fucking God, they call it like, I feel like white guys, like the only thing they've got left is alt comedy because they can't really like talk about shit anymore or whatever. But a lot of times, like their definition of alt is they just kind of act like, I swear to fucking God, like so many alt comedy today is like a white guy acting like he has a mental disability. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all of it. He's just like on the train being an idiot, and I'm like, this is funny. Like he's just acting like he's got a fucking condition, you know? So like I totally feel that when somebody reads, like somebody looks at that and they're like, fascinating, like this is brilliant.
When you say alt in the New York, do you also have like the kind of emotional comedy type trope?
So like
because we get a lot of that here when they do an hour show, 40 minutes in, and that's when I realize I've been wrong all along.
That sounds like me, actually. I think I do that.
First of all, I would definitely watch an hour of you doing turns like that, Nigel. Just like, and then I realized I was my own enemy. You know, like stuff where you like revelations. No, I mean, I feel like Fumi, like I think maybe I know a little bit about this because in a lot of ways we're sort of spoiled because like the New York scene. If you go to like most open mics and most shows, it's like. You got 2 minutes. Let's see what you got. You just got to bang it out. Like, give me 5 jokes in 2 minutes. Just like, hit it as hard as you can. But then you go to like other places, and this is why I always tell my wife this. I hate spoken word. I hate spoken word poetry. I fucking hate, that's
Why?
not poetry, dude. It's not rap. It's not real poetry. It's not funny. It's just like, hello there, let me tell you birds. You know, like, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And people are like, yes. Oh my God, yes, king. I'm just like, what? But because like the Bay Area is very like that. And you're right. I mean, I have seen really good ones, but like most people are not good. I guess that's how it's true for comedy. But, you know, like that kind of where you're just like, you can kind of just like get by with the certain art forms if you just kind of play to certain like very emotional things and I feel with like that doesn't really work with stand-up, you know, like you can't just like scream your way to being funny, you know what I'm saying? You can scream and be funny, but you can't just like do one thing and kind of work with there. So like I definitely understand what you're saying there.
But you know
like,
what?
You know,
Let's bring it back to this thing you're talking about, Nigel. You know, you're like, oh, I don't like this emotional shit. But guess what, buddy? You followed a lady to the UK.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
What happened there, buddy?
What happened there? And why don't you talk about that?
Let's get emotional. Yeah, let's get that turn
emotional.
going.
Yeah.
When did you realize you were the problem? Huh? This is perfect. Edinburgh Fringe.
I don't write a whole hour show based on that sob story about it, you know? But it was fine. I think we just got together really young, and then we grew apart as we got together really young, right? I think I met her when I was 21 and she was 19.
Oh,
and then we just stayed together for like 9 years total. And then we just after a few years we realized, oh yeah, we've grown to be different people, so it's time to part ways.
You're married.
That's it, really. Yeah, I was married. Yeah, I was married to her. We met in 2011. We got married in 2015. Then we moved here, and then it was fine for a few years, and then afterwards, I think comedy took over my life, essentially.
Yep.
I spent more time with Adobe Premiere Pro than I spent with her.
Yeah.
So I was editing too many videos. Adobe ruined my marriage. You know?
I feel
I paid £50 a month to Adobe Creative Suite for them to ruin my marriage.
I feel that could be a new product under Adobe Cloud, Adobe Divorce. You know, how do I get divorced faster? You know, which panel does that? Do you feel like do you ever have? It's like at least when I was starting out, I sometimes wondered if the things that I observed as an Asian American person, I didn't know if like white people were gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I always thought that, do I need to explain what a rice cooker is, like just as an example, before I even get to the joke about do you ever feel like that? Like, oh, I gotta set this up first, or do you find that like people actually know kind of a lot? You know?
I think they're both. I think there are jokes where you think they won't know, but they actually know. And then there are jokes where you think they don't know and they actually don't know. So I think for a minority comic, I think that's a little skill set minority, non-default race comics need to have, is to know how to explain it in like the shortest amount of time possible.
Yep.
And then still let people understand it enough to start laughing at the punchlines.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. I was like writing, because when I'm like paid to do an hour, I basically have to do like every joke that I have that I'm okay with doing in public, and some of them are like kind of old stuff I wrote in like 2016. And what's interesting, if you're like an Asian comic, or like, I guess to your point, like non-default race comic, is you know, at one point I was writing about like lack of representation and stuff, and like some of that stuff is like no longer true. So I'm like, oh, this joke like expired, and it's not because it's not funny, it's just like it doesn't make sense because it's not true anymore. And I feel that like that's happening to a lot of my catalog, which is like kind of cool. But I feel like that's like a pretty unique thing for like Asian comedians, especially because I feel like stuff in our communities are like, it's happening so fast and slow at the same time. But like, yeah, that's like I just feel like we're always like constantly adapting to the new norm and commenting on the new
Isn't
thing.
that good though? If your lack of representation joke is out of date, that means you have representation now.
Yeah, but I'm an asshole, so I was like, I wish we still didn't have Asians in movies, so I can use this joke that is 45 seconds long.
This was a really good... This was a good solid B+ joke, okay? You know, and now I can't do it anymore because the race did so much better.
Do you think there was like do you think there was like a black comedian who like was against the civil rights movement because he's like, my bit's gone.
No, my beautiful bit. Now we can vote. This sucks. I remember I DM'd you like a while back, and I was just like, you know, because I saw you were doing all this stuff, and I'm always interested in how like comedians make money, because it's so difficult, right? Because like we like, I know, you know, and you remember this? I asked you, and I was like, how do you make money?
You just asked him that? That's what you said?
I was like straight up, like, well, I don't remember exactly the wording, but I was like essentially like, because, you know, like you and I, like, how do you transition from, you know, oh, okay, I got a day job, and I got you know, but I'm also doing all this other shit. It's like unsustainable. You know, I have it feels like sometimes you have like 2 or 3 careers going on at the same time. You know, so I was like, there's got to be a point where you're like, okay, well, now I can switch over. So I just wanted to get, you know, your thing. You remember this, Nigel?
Yeah, I remember this. I remember, Mike, you sent me like a 1-sentence question, and then I just vomited out all my income streams to you. Am I being helpful here, or am I just bragging to him?
No, not at all. I mean, that's what I wanted. I knew that, you know, I hit upon something, because sometimes you just ask somebody like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And then they just like go on like a 30-minute tirade about it, which is what you want, because you know they've been thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, like, so before it sounded like you were doing okay just with stand up, you could like make money doing there just enough to kind of like live?
I went full time in September of 2019. 6 months before the pandemic, really. So,
fantastic.
Wasn't a great time. But I would say first, it's a little bit easier in the UK compared to the US, especially New York. In the UK, first of all, it's a way smaller country, right? I can go to the second largest city, Birmingham, in a night train. I get off work at 5:30, 6, and I take a train. I'm at Birmingham 7:30 for an 8 p.m. show.
Wow.
And I do that, and I can take the same train back the same night. And I'm back in my bed. And also the UK scene on the circuit, so talking about tour shows and like your name under the marquee. I'm just taking like comedy club circuit shows. It's more egalitarian. So in the US, you have host, feature, headliner, right? And headliner takes away like as much money as he takes cut off the door, right? Which can be a lot. But the feature gets what, 75 to 150? That kind of around that amount, and then you have your MC gets, I don't know, a bit less than that, 100, 200 maybe, yeah, that kind of thing. So in the UK, on the club night, on the club circuit, is you usually have one host and then 3 acts. Everybody does the same amount of time. Everybody gets paid around between 200 to 300 pounds.
So you were doing stand-up, but you also had like some sort of a social media presence. You didn't have a million subscribers, but you had a decent amount. Like, was that?
Yeah.
I just, you're the first influencer we're talking to. Like, is that, you don't have to tell me how much, but like, is that like, are you making enough money to just live off that? Because I have a lot of friends who are just like influencers, and I can't tell if they're still living off their parents' money or like if 300,000 followers is enough to like eat and live the lifestyle that they live.
First of all, I'm not an influencer, but I'm more of a comedian, right? And,
well, damn, I apologize on behalf of the podcast. Jesus, how dare you?
I say that because I think the distinction is important. I'm not very advertiser friendly. In the sense that an influencer, depends on your niche, right? But most influencer niches tend to be quite profitable. So they would go like in the makeup niche. So people who follow you already have the intention of buying. So that's why they can make a living through like influencing, posting a nice photo of themselves holding like a Sephora bag, and then they get paid a couple grand for that. Yeah. So that I think that it's possible to make a living like that. Yeah. But as a comic, if you want to monetize through content, it's less that kind of route unless you're super hot, and you're super into skincare, you can make it funny.
Hey man,
great.
I've seen your thirst pictures. Okay, someone's been doing ab ripper. Okay, there you go.
Hey man, if you have abs, I highly recommend you use that to plug your podcast because our listens jumped so much.
Really?
And it's not even, at that point we didn't have YouTube yet, so it's just an audio medium, but that picture drew people to to listen to the podcast.
That is so funny.
People are just like, yo, these abs make a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, can you imagine being in like a marketing meeting and they're like, yeah, should we like try to do something with social media? It's like, no, please do some crunches right now.
Yeah, let's do some crunches. Okay,
it helps, man. It helps. It helps.
So continue with your whole thing. Yeah.
So before Uncle Roger blew up, all of last year, I think I was hovering around 40 to 30 to 50K followers on Instagram. I was decent. I had a small following on Instagram because I made content that's it's the stuff, the kind of jokes I do already, but it's like very Asian focused, and I kind of had more of a concentration on that type of topic. So I just started working with like these big Asian meme pages, and then they helped me repost my stuff on their page for a fee, and that's how I really grew. And a couple of things went semi-viral on Instagram, so that's how I built that 20 to 50K following. That was last year, but I didn't get paid a single cent for it. In fact, I actually lost money because I had to pay the meme pages to post my stuff.
Whoa, I didn't even know that was a thing. That's kind of cool.
Dude, see, Fumi, this is why I hit him up. Because he went to Northwestern, okay? he's look at him thinking laterally. You know, like I always joke with Fumi that like we won't be successful because we think too much like comedians, which is just like let's just write some jokes until we're famous, which is not how it works.
Yeah, it's the old model, but it's important. You need that too.
You do need that.
Yeah,
but it's better if you have abs and you have a good marketing strategy
and a business acumen. Yes,
and a business acumen. But
because nowadays like nowadays in the UK, there's a big stand-up show that usually you used to make people's career, right? It's called Live at the Apollo.
Okay.
So that's like, but it's the UK. It's not like the American version where it's
The
like
Apollo.
urban night, but it's more of a it makes people's careers, right?
Yeah.
But now I think Live at the Apollo doesn't do anything anymore. Now getting featured on 9gag and Lat Bible, that's the new Live at the Apollo.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Your followers just jump up so fast because there's no change in medium. You know, you watch something on TV, you have to pick up the phone, and there's a switch from TV to social media, right? So that's friction. But if you see something on 9gag and your handle's tagged in it, it's one tap, and then they're your profile, and then they scroll down, they see, oh, he makes content. That's a follow right there.
So how did you come up with like Uncle Roger as a thing? Because like, you know, it seems like a very fleshed out character already. I had seen before the big viral Rice one, I had seen another one where you were kind of like talking about how Uncle Roger's divorced and he's got his cell phone and stuff like that. And I was like, this is like really specific. I feel like I know an uncle like this, even if I don't have an uncle like this, you know. So how did you kind of like craft this? Were you sort of like, what's my future look like? You know.
Honestly, his attitude is kind of me already. I am that kind of curmudgeonly uncle persona. But it started from my podcast with my co-host. She writes Evelyn Mock. She writes sitcom scripts, right? You guys met her before.
Yes,
You've done our pod
Evelyn's
before.
great.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, she writes. She wrote a sitcom and she said, "Oh, I wrote a character who's a real estate agent based off of you, and then his name is Roger." So I just kind of took it and ran with it. As what would Roger say? And what would an Asian uncle who sells apartments, what would he say? He would just try to rip people off, essentially. You know?
Yes. Go ahead. Keep going. I love this. I feel. Yeah, go ahead.
Just sort of riffing on the podcast. Oh no, that used to be murder here. There's blood on wall, but don't worry. I clean up for you. Just buy. Just rent. Yeah. Don't worry. It's okay. Yeah. Because Asian. I grew up in an Asian environment. You go to the markets. Everybody is trying to not rip you off, but they're trying to make a sale.
Yeah.
Make a sale.
Right.
Yes.
So they'll turn everything into a positive. So I think if you bring that type of character into the Western world, I think there's a lot of funny to be mined there. So I just started riffing on the podcast, and then the way I work is when I come out with something new, I try to do like short clips first, hence the TikTok, Instagram, 40-second, 1-minute clips to kind of get used to the character. So I did like maybe 3 or 5 of those, and then I did the egg fried rice one, which that was the one that took off. So that's how I usually work. It's easier to make something a 40-second thing to iterate, right? To see proof of concept. Do people actually like this guy? And the first video I posted on TikTok, that kind of blew up really fast too. Got 1 million views overnight. I was like, okay, people seem to like this character. They find him funny and kind, but sassy at the same time. And Asians can relate to it because it's a character based on my life experience, right? And so, okay, let's try to see if I can do more of this character. So hence the YouTube stuff.
Wow. So, I remember I saw that the rice one, and then I DM'd you, and I was like, "Yo, this one is super funny." In particular, right? You know, along with all the other stuff, but like this one in particular, I was like, "You really like hit something here," and you're like, "Yeah, people seem to like it." And then I remember like the next day. Like it was on the first time, I think for me, the tipping point I saw was sort of like somebody had posted on Twitter, and that spread it through everything, and then someone put it on Reddit. You know, like were you like surprised that like, oh, this is like really going crazy, or you know what I'm saying, or was it like, okay, this is cool, or you know, what was going through your mind?
I was surprised, and I still am super grateful that it went viral on every single platform. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. And then it got picked up by news outlets.
Oh,
I was in newspapers in Hong Kong, South China Morning Post.
They interviewed you?
They interviewed me for an article. I was in Variety, which is crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, if there's a internet's favorite uncle, that kind of article. I was in SBS, Seoul Broadcasting Station. I think that's what it stands for, a Korean news outlet. They had a whole 10-minute segment on me.
10 minutes? That's like 9 times. That's like longer than the actual video. They could have just shown the whole video.
Well, they had other segments too. They interviewed like chefs in Korea, Indian chefs, like, do you actually cook rice like this? Yeah. And then there's some Taiwanese pop stars that I grew up listening to. David Tao made a reaction video.
Oh, shit.
Reacting to my thing. And I was like, holy shit, I grew up listening to your songs. I sang your songs at karaoke, and now you're reacting to my video. It's crazy. I left that comment on his YouTube channel, so it just was insane. I think it's... maybe Rice is quite relatable, and I'm glad that the character people seem to relate to him.
Yeah.
I have half my fans are Asians from Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you know. That's how I know I hit like the mannerisms, the details are accurate.
Well,
because
that's
everybody
what-
say I have an uncle like that. You know.
That's what I wanted to say. Like, what is it about that character do you think makes it pop? Because I feel like, and we're gonna talk about this, is that like
Yes,
it could be
I'm
very
excited,
easily be a, you know, like a caricature or something like that, but it doesn't necessarily feel like that. It feels like there's a lot of little details, like the polo shirt, the way you put your leg up, the you know, the cell phone, like the little things that like you kind of pick up on, you know, like how you're always saying he's kind of pushy, but he's not like you don't get a sense from me that he is a bad person. He's just kind of like, he's kind of sad on the inside a little bit, you know? And I feel like I know uncles who are like this, you know, like, you know, in particular one uncle who's kind of like, he's very angry. He, you know, is very critical of stuff, but he's very lazy at the same time. You know, he's like, you know, like, what do you think it is that kind of resonated, you know, with all these different kinds of audience? Because like there's a lot of people in the West also like it.
I think it's all of the above, really. This and we'll talk about this later, I assume. But I mean, the accent definitely makes it funnier. We shouldn't discount that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because I know, because I've made Rice videos before and they never popped off that hard.
Interesting.
in this voice, yeah. So the accent definitely makes it funnier. All the details is modeled after people I've saw at kopitiams in Malaysia, coffee shops in Malaysia, like in rural Malaysia. You go. I grew up around those environments. It's like the kind of uncles, the know-it-all middle-aged Asian men who just sit there a little bit arrogant. They're ultimately very kind and nice, but they have this like know-it-all personality. The way I speak, the repetition, that's very familiar. The way I repeat my words, the way the English is broken.
Yeah.
That's how I spoke when I was growing up in Malaysia before I learned proper grammar. The words I use, "Hiya," is, you know, it's Malaysian slang. In Cantonese, in Hong Kong, in China, and Taiwan, it's "Aiya," A-I-Y-A. But in Malaysia, it's "Hiya," so people know there's authenticity there. I would say
that
the
H
accent,
baby, yeah.
yeah. And I'm slowly going to introduce more Malaysian slang in there as well, because that's where the character's from. One challenge I have is Malaysian slang tends to have a lot of like foreign words in there, like la, law, ma. So there's a bit of a challenge to do an accent without using the slang, which is why there's also a bit of Cantonese accent in the mix. It's an Asian accent, but specific, but with my own twist as well to make it a little bit more accessible.
Dude, this sounds like you're describing you sound like you're describing like a sweet cocktail. Like you're some hipster.
Yeah, dude. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what? You got flavors from all over the Asia.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, delicious. Something from Kuala Lumpur, a little bit from Cantonese.
Did you notice the H on the Aiya right here? Is,
Yeah. Feel free to tell me if it gets too boring and technical.
No.
I mean,
we're
for personally,
fascinated by
like, we're very fascinated by it. I mean, you know, before we talk about the accent thing, because that's like a really big thing. It's kind of great.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I understand.
know. We'll get into it. Yeah.
The you know, Fumi warned me not to get too inside baseball, but we're in the business of going viral, like getting famous, right? Like that's what stand up, like if there's any stand up comedians who are listening to this who are kind of like trying to be like, not be like us, but like trying to make it like we're trying to make it, you know, for a long time it's like just be funny. But then after a while you realize, oh, it's be famous. That's like the thing. And, you know, when we were looking at this video, like, you know, we're interested in what is the thing about this character that makes it so that it works, you know, like, because it could easily not work and like be really bad. And, you know, like I showed my wife this video and she's like, oh, okay, this is going to be so cheesy, like Asian accent guy with talking about rice, blah, 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 blah. And she watched it and she was laughing. She was loving it because I think because of all those little things, like the H from this, and then like you know, like all those little things. And we're
H from KL.
we're interested in why it works, you know. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. And in terms of the belt phone case, that's what my dad wears. That's what a lot of my friends that I literally asked a lot of my friends to send me a picture of your dad when I was doing my research on what to dress him as. So bright colored polo, such a common trope, man, across all Asian dads. Bright colors, stripy polos, but stripes don't work well on camera, so I just went with a solid color bright polo. Yeah. So it's literally people's dads and the leg on chair. That's how I sat when I was growing up.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah,
dude. Well, let's fucking dive right into it, bro. Let's just go into the belly of the beast. We love this character. We want you to know that. We want the listeners to know that. And you know what? I think most people do because it got so many views. Like, you don't get 6 million views by people hating on it. But as
14 million.
14 million.
Oh
million. God, it was 6 million last week. That's insane. I love that, Nigel.
Kidding,
this is how I know you're a comic is because I know you're like checking it every 3 seconds and be like, 15 million.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed. Yeah.
But I'm sure that you're also aware that there's like a little bit of pushback with this. I don't think it's a big population, but like Reddit is how it is, and also the internet, how it can be. I put shit on there and people are like, not funny all the time. So it's I get it, but yours is on a much bigger scale in the millions. Mine's in the hundreds. It's all good. I'm not crying. But what are your sort of, I don't know, Mike, do you want to get into the specific pushback or do you want to just get the general reaction first? Like what have you heard?
We talked about this last week with Jay Jordan as well, and there's a Reddit thread. It's like, why do Asian comedians or Asian American comedians, why are they always doing the accent? So and then there was another Reddit post about just like, what do people think about your Uncle Roger thing? And I don't know, did you read all these comments? Are you I'm
aware. I'm aware.
You're aware at least.
Yeah.
And I feel there's like two things. First, is the accent thing. Right? Were you nervous when you kind of put this out? I mean, have you gotten like a lot of people go like, hey, this is funny. Why are you doing this accent? Blah blah. Because I was wondering for a while, like, is it funny because of the accent? And I do think it's funny because of the accent, but because it's like a very specific one, and it makes the character. The character is funny. It's not just like randomly you kind of throw it out there. But at the same time, sometimes Asian accents are funny. Is that good or bad? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. I think, as a creator, and I've thought about this a lot, of course. I think the accent definitely enhances the comedy.
Yep.
I think there are some really, really good lines in there that I wrote. Every video, I sit down with Evelyn, my podcast co-host, and then we sit down and actually write some jokes for it. So we actually we write lines for it. So I think the jokes will work, even without the accent, but the accent just makes it a lot funnier. So I think that's point number one. We have to concede to. Number two, I think it passes my conscience, and for many reasons, I put it out there. I know you have to do the socially responsible thing, right? If you do an accent, then you suddenly have to make sure that things are above board. You're socially responsible. I think because of those details, and because I'm doing an impression of a character from my life experience, and it's detailed, it's accurate. And the fact that it's accurate as evidenced by half my fans being Asians from Asia, it passes my conscience. That's point number two. And number three, I also do get why Asian Americans get nervous. Well, for context, I'm not an Asian American. I'm a fob essentially. I'm from Asia, so I do get why Asians in the Western world get nervous, right? Because you grew up, maybe people yell at you from outside a moving car, and they're like, ching chang chong, go back to China. So everybody. Maybe people have a bit of that. Yeah. So I would say a lot of the comments I see on the Reddit thread where they say, is Uncle Roger racist or is doing an accent racist? A lot of it stems from what I call the white gaze. Get all academic. But a lot there's a common sentiment say, when you do an accent, white people are laughing at you, not with you.
Yeah.
That seems to be a very common sentiment, right? And I would say that's patently untrue nowadays. I think there will definitely be white people who are laughing at you. They'll just go, Chinese man, speak like Chinese. Very funny. Right? There's definitely going to be people like that, but I think that's a small minority now. And you can see this based on if you look at the Jamie Oliver reaction video I made, it's shared right now it's on Lat Bible, which is, the big aggregator page, right? And if you look at the comments there, if someone's laughing at just the Asian guy's accent, then the comments would be like, ching chang chong, Asian guy so funny, China man so funny.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of things like that, right? But most of the comments are actually people quoting the lines, the jokes I have. Like, you can. Like, I have a line in there, so which I think is a pretty solid roast line, even without the accent. It's the Jamie Oliver made the rice, and I say, oh, the rice is so wet you can see your reflection inside. Like Mulan's gonna start singing when she sees this rice.
Yeah,
right. That's a like a roast
that's
battle.
funny. It's funny.
Yeah, that's a roast battle
joke,
right?
right?
You got lines.
So people are quoting that line, and people are also laughing at Jamie Oliver.
Right.
Because there are tons of comments saying, yeah, Jamie Oliver's a prick anyway. He did this, and I always never liked his stuff. So I think sometimes Asian Americans or Asians who grew up or born in the Western world, they have this not insecurity, but this paranoia almost.
Yeah.
Paranoia is too strong a word, but you know what I mean, right? This fear of like, oh, if they laugh, it must be laughing at me. So there's a little of that white gaze influence worldview, I think. So
yeah. No, go ahead.
I think that's point number 3, and I think point number 4, which is the most important part. I think maybe it's time we need to have a bit more nuance when you look at these things, because if you hear someone do an accent and you go, oh no, it's racist, that's the same thing as hearing someone say the word black in their set and then they go, oh no, it's racist. So it's the same mechanism involved, right? And when I say nuance, I mean actually listen to the content of the words I'm saying. You know, I'm championing the Asian cause here, right? White people be fucking up our food. So yeah. And also, you can also be racist without doing the accent. You know what I mean? I've seen a few Asian comedians who never do the accent, but like they're putting our people down. I'm like, oh, I can't watch. I'd rather you do the accent and be pro-Asian.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a great
very
point.
Then sound white and put Asian people down. That's even worse, I think.
Yeah.
And if you look at in terms from both a social standpoint and a comedic standpoint, from a comedic standpoint, yes, there are some hacky lines in there that because it's an uncle after all, so he's gonna make fun of vegans, and making fun of vegans is very 10 years ago now, obviously.
Yeah, right,
so
right.
I admit that, but there are also some pretty original topics, original jokes, like the Mulan one is pretty good. When have you heard a joke about MSG? Right? I haven't heard MSG jokes, induction stove jokes. So that's from a comedic
stove jokes.
You're in that line of work, induction stove
you're
comedy.
Getting in that. Stove comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this is first of all, thank you for sharing all that. That was like all so true, and there are a lot of things I didn't think about. And also like, I've only talked about this Mike, who is an Asian American. I'm not an Asian American really, and it's so nice to hear like a foreign aspect, because like in a weird way, like I'm kind of on the same page as you, where it's like I don't always freak out at the accent just because like my parents spoke with a certain accent. It's not a generic accent. And I think that's, you were doing an impression earlier of like a guy doing a hurtful Asian accent, which is, I understand why a lot of Asian Americans are upset that when you go like, ho ho, anything that starts with a ho ho, that is not true, right? Nobody fucking, no Asian person speaks like that, right? But you don't do that. And so I do believe in the nuance aspect as well. And yeah, the white gaze thing is interesting because, again, I don't want to make this sound like it's the Asian Americans' fault, because again, if they do have that fear or paranoia, it was developed for all the wrong, like for terrible reasons. And like I've gone through some of that myself, but like there is a part of me that's like, oh, isn't it so sad that like, I've done so many, like in New York, I get to do shows in front of Caribbean people, Spanish people, local black audience in Harlem. And a lot of them are like, you go to a Spanish show, they're fucking gonna do a Jamaican accent or whatever. Like, they're like, whoever lives in that community, a Caribbean show I meant, and they're like making fun of their Jamaican auntie, Jamaican, whatever, Nigerian comedians do the same thing. And like, people like it. I've never seen anybody be like, that's regressive to our culture, And it's sometimes I see that and I'm like, oh, I wonder... I couldn't really figure out like, oh, I wonder why we can't do this with Asian people or like Japanese, Chinese, Korean people like specifically and kind of get with it. But yeah, I think everything you said totally makes sense, man.
Yeah. First, thank you for writing that essay.
I
like the structure. Okay, it's supporting 4 supporting points and a closing statement. Very strong. I would have given you a 5 on the SAT writing portion. But I mean, I agree with you. I guess from the representing all of Asian America, I understand definitely like you're always afraid of like giving. I think this is why sometimes you're afraid as an Asian person of bringing white people to your house, because you don't want to give them any more ammunition. You're always afraid of like, oh, they're gonna make fun of me for, this or like the way my house smells or where the fuck it is, and like to introduce them to, to give them more things. Like I think an Asian person an Asian American person might be afraid that like, oh, is someone going to call me Uncle Roger one day or something like that? Some bro is going to call me that, and like it might happen because fucking bros can be dicks, and that's like their thing. So, but at the same time, I think that the reason why this isn't the same as just like a generic sort of racist stereotype is because of the specificity, of like this is coming from a specific spot, and when you even read through a lot of these comments, people actually don't talk about the character. People I think actually like the character. It's just sort of like there's it really does have to come down to a lot of the accent stuff. So I think you're onto something with the character because I mean clearly you are, right, with 14 million views, and it is like that white gaze where we're still like, I think as we develop, as we get more nuance, as more content comes out, Asian American people will realize, like, I hope that we shouldn't view it from what will white people think about it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's running through a lot of this.
Exactly.
What will white people think about this? Fuck white people, okay? Like, we got our shit. That's right. Like, I want white people to be a little afraid. You know what I'm saying? I want Jamie Oliver's people to call Jamie Oliver and go, did you see Uncle Roger's coming for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want,
Yeah.
Have you heard from him?
And the thing you mentioned earlier about people, Asian Americans who fear someone might call them Uncle Roger one day. It's like, yeah, legitimate fear, yes. But if someone's gonna call you names, they're only gonna call you some other Asian guy anyway. Without
That's
me.
true. That's
They'll
true.
be calling you Jackie Chan. If without Uncle Roger, they call you Jackie Chan. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys are on
really-
the same level now. Yes, that makes sense. We were talking earlier. Like, I think another reason why they might be afraid is because this is true. Like, in the past in America, nobody, like, a lot of people have not done it the right way. Like, it's a very regressive way of doing it, and I feel that you're in this like uncharted territory where you're like you're doing it a lot better than people in the past. And honestly, like, I can't really name another person doing the accent in like an acceptable or like a really funny way. So you might honestly be like one of the only people. So I think you're like a trailblazer here, and you're kind of like alone. Like, nobody, like, there is no reference point. Your reference point is like Ken Jeong stand-up set in the 80s, right? So they're comparing you to somebody who's like fucking 30 years older than you. So
I think
that was Peter Chow, big YouTuber. Peter
people
Chow?
brought him up. I don't know who that was actually.
I was a big fan of him growing up. But yeah, thank you very much. And I think about the white gazing, I want to add too. I think, yes, a lot of the times you think, oh, what will white people say? Why will white people think? But I think it's also important to see what Asian people in non-white gazy countries would think. And the fact that I'm pretty big on Chinese Twitter as well.
Hey.
I have an account there, and they enjoy it. So I was like, because Asians from Asia like it, I'm like, okay, so this relates, so that they can relate to it. It's a detail that's nuanced, so that's all good.
Yeah. I think the one analog that I can think of is Margaret Cho does an accent with her mom, and her mom as a character appears in her stand-up a lot. She does a lot of like Margaret Cho's mom, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's an example of like, she's doing the accent, but it's clearly from her own experience. She's talking about a character, which is her mom, and white people don't do that one. They don't, like, nobody's like, you're Margaret Cho's mom, haha. It's almost it's so specific that white people can't co-opt it, because like it's too down in the culture. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think by doing that, you're able to make sure that there is no white gaze problem. The Margaret Cho's accent. When she does the accent, nobody gets on her for that, and rightly so, because like it works for the character, and it's like, it's really her. If you were to try to steal it, you're gonna fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the same way with this. Like, I certainly can't do that accent. I kind of wish I could do that accent. Your Uncle Roger accent, because it's sweet. It's a sweet accent. Like, I don't know what we shouldn't. It's cool. I think it sounds cool. Like, it sounds like kind of like, oh yeah, you know what? This guy definitely knows where the best food is. I'm like, this is the dude you want to talk to for sure, right?
Yeah. Can I add So something related, but also not super related to this is, my parents are all in Malaysia, right? So
Yeah.
I performed live in Malaysia for the first time last year, and I speak like this when I do stand-up. I don't really incorporate the Asian accent into my act. If I want to do Uncle Roger live, I'll probably do him as like a whole show as a multimedia character show, but I haven't thought about that yet. So when I did stand-up in Malaysia last year, I spoke like this on stage, and my parents came. They saw me, but they didn't really laugh because their English isn't that great. And when I speak in this neutral accent, it's quite Western and it's quite fast. So they don't get it at all. But when they saw Uncle Roger, they understood everything. And my sister sent me an Insta story. They were all sitting in the living room together. And my mom was laughing. And dad was laughing when she put the rice through the colander. They were all laughing. And it was just... I teared up when I saw that, because it was the first time making an Asian parent laugh. Yeah, so...
Bro, this is your Edinburgh Festival submission right here.
And that's when I realized I was Uncle Roger all along.
I was Uncle Roger the whole time. Yeah, dude.
And then the lights fade to black.
And then the lights fade to black. 4 stars. Edinburgh Fringe, baby. You made it. You did it. This is it.
Hey.
Oh my God. There you go. Nigel, thank you so much. Where can our listeners find you? What's going on with you in the future? Let them know.
If you want to find me, I'm on all the social media platforms under my handle at Mr. Nigel Ng. It's spelled MrNigelNG. Or if you search Uncle Roger, my stuff will come up. So find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff, and Chinese social media platforms as well. If you're a Chinese listener, I'm on Weibo, and I'll be on Bilibili soon and Douyin as well. I have a podcast called Rise to Meet You, which if you search it in all your podcast platforms, it's similar Asian themed stuff, but it's Asian people. We are both based in the UK, so there's a slight different flavor to it, but I'll say all the jokes in there, the funny parts are accessible to everyone regardless of your culture. So go check me out on there.
The Asian podcast disclosure.
Yeah.
Support our Patreon and support Asian Not Asians Patreon. Support all of our Patreons and future stuff. Honestly, I don't know. I want to go back on stage soon. Maybe do a tour next year if things get back to normal and I become good at stand-up again.
Come to the U.S., bro. Come to the U.S. You're huge here.
Man.
Your work
you can
visa
do a whole
is
thing.
so hard to get, man.
The what?
So difficult. Your work visa as an entertainer is so difficult.
Oh,
You
I
have
feel
to be
though-
like a legit star, to qualify
We
for
know
it.
a couple
Yeah.
people who did it. Daniel Simonson.
Simonson.
Well, he
Yeah.
had a sitcom in the UK, so he is a legit
Yeah, but you
star,
got Uncle
yeah.
Roger, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Honestly,
does he have the
the-
gold YouTube thing?
Yeah,
you know?
I bet the TSA's guy's gonna know you. He's gonna be like, oh, get the fuck in here, dude.
I hope so. I don't know because YouTube stardom is still quite new. I don't know how it qualifies for the visa is called the O1.
Yeah,
right.
An alien of extraordinary ability. So I don't know how much they look at YouTube yet. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I do want to go there.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
You write in the application your extraordinary ability is that you made your mom laugh. Okay, that's like none of I haven't done it. Fumi hasn't done it. No people.
Dude.
Osama Siddiqui does not. His mom hates him. So there you
Just
go.
put an accent, man. Put an accent, and they'll
Throw an
laugh.
accent in there. Do
Dude,
it. Try it out.
that's the Asian Avenger power. You can make your own fans.
Check this out. Fumi, hit them. Let them know where they can find us.
Yes, you can also find us on social media at AsianNotAsianPod. We're on Instagram. Please follow us. I'm also on all platforms at the Fumiabe, TheFumiAbe.
And you can find me on Instagram at NicePantsBro.
Please support our Patreon. It's patreon.com/AsianNotAsianPod. We have bonus episodes every month, and then there's like a Facebook page, and you have direct contact with us if you have any questions, and we love hearing from you. And we also guess your ethnicity live on air on this show, so that'll be fun for you. Hack City is our comedy show that we used to be weekly. Now it's every other week. Is it bi-weekly? I'm not sure what the actual word is. It's every other week. So we did it yesterday. So the next Friday we're off, and then the next week we're coming back. So just again, go to AsianNotAsianPod.com for tickets. It's free. It's a good time. Anyone from any country, anywhere in the world could join. So please come to that show. It's a good time.
Nigel's been on it. He killed it. So it's good stuff. So I mean, hopefully we can hang out soon. Or whatever, once we get some vaccines and you get your visa, or whatever the fuck it is, and who knows? Maybe we'll come out there. We probably have 10 to 20 fans in the United Kingdom. What do you think?
There are these two. two girls that are like huge fans of us. They go to Cambridge. They're like scientists or something. They're getting their PhD. Honestly, they're probably working on the vaccine because I haven't heard from them in a while. But but one of them came to my show in Tribeca like not too long ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, just like she was super nice. I forgot her name, but shout out to you. Yeah, she's like a huge fan, and like we took a picture and it was great. So yeah, I think we can just do it for those two people. I think that'd be
just
cool.
two people.
Yeah.
Nigel, you can you can headline our two-person show.
Yes.
and yeah, catch Nigel at the Edinburgh Fringe probably soon.
Oh no, I'm not doing that ever again.
2022.
And that's it. Thanks again, Nigel. And we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.